Welcome to our Coach's Corner podcast. I'm your host, Eric, and I want to thank you for joining us as we turn up the heat by sharing our thoughts on health and fitness, along with some of our personal fitness experiences. Each episode, we'll be covering a wide variety of topics related to overall health and fitness with a no-fluff, real talk perspective.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Self-love, finding the sweet spot. This topic is a hard one for many people, but our goal today is to focus on specifics and, of course, be as informative and real about a topic many people shy away from. I'm your host, Dana, and today we have your co-host, Amy, in the hot seat today to guide us on a topic that she's extremely passionate about. Thanks for being with us, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
What's up? All right, Amy, before we get started, we're going to do some of the hot seat questions. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I guess.
All right, here we go.
I didn't see these before.
No, you didn't. This is perfect. All right, so question one. Go here. Where is the worst place you could get stuck?
Oh, a ditch.
A ditch. All right. Where would you go if you were invisible?
I would steal purses from designer stores.
You're doing really good so far.
How many books have you read so far this year?
Four, maybe.
What is the thing you're most afraid of?
Oh, geez. The stink bugs.
What is your favorite TV show?
Something trashy reality. I don't know. I can't think. Next.
All right. If you could get a yacht, what would you name it?
Oh, that's what Ceesh said.
Is that a name?
I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Or get naughty, but like with the like nautical.
Those are pretty clever.
Yeah. I love a good pun.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
Oh, 11.
How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
6 minutes.
Nice.
Really?
That's
6
quick.
minutes?
Yeah, I don't really put on makeup. I don't know.
That's real quick.
If you didn't know, Amy is blessed with great complexion.
No, I'm
so we're just going to leave it at that for the 6 minutes that it takes you to get ready.
What is one thing you have always wanted to do?
Live in Colorado.
Nice. All right, last question. If you were stranded on a tropical island, what 2 things would you want with you?
Can I say a boat and gas?
It's probably a smart choice.
More practical than most.
Right.
And so Amy is usually the queen at delivering rapid fire, but I think you struggled a bit there.
I struggled today.
I
for sure.
do. The clever answers, though. I did kudos on your answers. I did like those.
That was good. That was a lot. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome anytime.
All right, so we are going to completely just flip the script here because it gets a little bit more serious in our topic today as we talk about self-love, finding the sweet spot. It's not something that it's typically like just talked about a lot, or self-love can be used interchangeably in different types of ways. But I think where I'd like to start is how would you actually define self-love in regards to like overall health?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to define it with, it's just a Google definition I found, but I feel like it's pretty encompassing. But then I kind of want to like spin it a little bit because I feel like the direction that we're going to take self-love today might be a new thought for some people. I think not necessarily controversial, but I think it could be a new way of thinking, and I think people will really take a lot from this. So basically, self-love is the state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support our physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. Self-love means just having a high regard for your own well-being and happiness. So a step further, and this is where it gets a little different. So I heard a quote recently, and it really resonated with me. I really liked it. It just kind of flipped everything how I think about self-love, all that stuff, and like probably within the past, I don't know, over the past, I would say mostly 2 years, this is something that I've really incorporated, and it has just been a huge game changer in how I view myself. So The quote is, "Self-discipline is the highest form of self-love."
Just mic drop. We're done.
Just
Can
sit
you
with
say-
that.
Wrap it
Sit
up.
with that for a
Can
second.
you say that again?
Self-discipline is the highest form of self-love. And I want to just explain this just for a second. Because I found it so interesting when I first heard it. Because, at first you're like, wait, like what? Like, discipline is like a bad thing, Like you discipline a bad kid. Or like discipline is typically equated with suffering and being miserable and saying
Like
no to
rigidness.
things. Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
you're disciplined. You are, it doesn't really
Rigid.
have a positive connotation. And so I think what helped me with that is starting to change the narrative on discipline and what that means, and that in having this self-discipline, it's actually loving yourself enough to keep promises to yourself. Like you are worth it to keep the commitment to yourself to work out. You're worth that. Like think about how you feel when your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You told yourself, you set it up last night, you laid your clothes out, you're like, I'm going to work out at 6 a.m. Like, I'm going to do that for me because that'll probably make me feel good. And your alarm goes off at 6 a.m. and you snooze, you don't get out of bed. Like,
I did that on Tuesday.
yeah. So like, how do you feel
says that
though?
every
Like,
day.
how do you feel like when you eventually do wake up for the morning and you missed your workout and you're just like, oh, like,
Yeah, I feel like literally I did this exact thing on Tuesday, and I felt so like not even defeated's not the right word, but just like annoyed with myself. Like you could have done that. That was your choice that you did. Like I am pretty self-aware. I work on reflective stuff, but it's one of those things where I totally intended to do it. It was my only time of the day, and it was like snooze, snooze, snooze.
Are you one of those people that set your alarm earlier than you
Yeah.
have to just so you can hit
So I
snooze?
used to not be, and now I am, and it
Yeah.
really freaks me out. It like I don't know what's happening to me because I used to be like, okay, 6:45 is like my end goal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got to get up, and now it's like I set it earlier, and I like snooze 3 times, so I feel like set my alarm to get up in the morning. Usually I'm pretty disciplined, but was like, nope. And you just don't feel
Yeah.
good about it.
Well, so I can't do that. Like I have to set my alarm at the last possible second so that when it goes off, I have to just like
just jump
my
up and
brain
you're
is
like,
not on. I'm like, I gotta get up. Like literally the last second. So
And
I
that's
got my
how I used to
fitness
be.
ready. Because if
I think
if,
it's better.
Well, if I snooze and snooze, I just start bargaining with myself in my head, like, oh, I'll go later. Like,
Yep.
oh, well, I can do this at lunch. Like, you start bargaining and then you miss it or go back to sleep. Like, I have to wait until the last second. But also back to self-discipline, it's also just staying true to yourself, being able to have that strength, not compromising your morals to please others. So having that discipline to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, to do things that will make your future self feel happy. So having that discipline and that foresight to see how your current decisions will affect your future self, and to be able to have the discipline to change that trajectory if necessary, if you feel like you're maybe not going down the best
There's
path.
another quote that I had heard prior that may resonate with people, and it was, if it's worth doing once, it's worth doing every day.
Oh, interesting.
Nice.
So that may resonate with
if
some
it's a
people.
good thing, though, right? Not
yeah,
drugs.
if it's a good thing. If it's related to self-love.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, and it's like I'm hearing you talk and hearing you go into it, and so much of like self-love, the words, just the words, self-love and discipline, like the connotations that those words get, they do not go together. But actually, in every way,
Yeah.
if you are
Yeah.
not disciplined, like you are not showing yourself continuous self-love, because it's like it's a free-for-all with your life, like.
Well, some people even
And that
think,
can be changed.
for sure. And some people look at discipline as like punishment, like almost
Yeah.
they're,
Like
I
you
gotta go to the
discipline a
gym
kid.
today. I gotta do this every day. They
Flip
look at it
the
as a bad
mindset.
thing, right?
Flip the
Exactly.
mindset. You get to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You're doing that for you.
That's self-talk, girl.
Yeah. Because I
Yes.
think a lot of times, like, people think of self-love as like, treat yourself, get that other cupcake, girl. Like, yeah, like, let's go. But then how do you feel after that? And how do you feel if you make
Right.
that same decision every day? At work, you're eating the 2 or 3 cupcakes in the break room every day. How do you feel about yourself? And
Next
it's not,
day, you're like, I gotta go hard at the gym because I had the extra cookie.
yeah.
yesterday.
And I'm not even talking about like, what that's doing to your body, but just like, those
Mental.
patterns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mental.
Like the mentality. But like, when you do set discipline, you do set those parameters and you stick to it, like you feel proud of yourself.
I think it's a piece though too with like discipline, and then I have some other questions that I want to go to, but I think it also goes along the lines of people equate discipline as like so rigid that they can't enjoy what they
Yeah.
want to enjoy. They literally think about like eating rice, chicken, and a vegetable
Yeah.
every single day.
Every food they hate,
Yeah,
they think
and
of
that
that
they
as
never can
self-discipline.
have, and like that's
Yeah.
not necessarily true. Like discipline doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it may take you a little while to find like what works for you, but it doesn't have to be this. If I'm disciplined and I care about myself, I'm never gonna have that cupcake or that donut. Like that's just not reality.
Well, that's kind of too. So like finding and weighing out short-term pleasure with long-term happiness, but also I think in this podcast when we say finding the sweet spot, we also mean finding that balance between, you know, what do you need to do to achieve your ultimate life goals, whether that's body goals, financial, family, relationships, whatever. So the balance between what those goals are, but then also having a good time doing it. So, you know, like what you said, like losing weight does not have to be this miserable experience. You can lose weight and still eat a cupcake. You can, you know, but you got to weigh it out. You know, you might not get there as quickly, but you're still doing things that you enjoy. So being honest with yourself and finding that balance. You don't have to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice every day.
Life's too short for that.
Your goal is not to be a bikini competitor on stage. Like
Yeah.
you can eat some cupcakes. Like
That's
it
only
might
going to
take you a
build
little
momentum
longer.
too, right? Because it goes back to a story Dana's told in previous podcasts about your brother, right?
Yeah.
About how he started with just doing push-ups. Then he's like, oh wow, I kind
I
of
can
like
do
this.
squats.
Yeah,
I can
do
eat
more
better.
and more
like
and more
it's,
and more.
It's a residual effect that just
Yeah.
keeps going. But
That adds
you,
to that discipline.
Exactly. You mentioned something about like self-love. A lot of times body positivity can be intertwined with that word. How do you feel like those two words, self-love, body positivity, they're two different things,
Yeah.
but like how do you feel like those phrases are taken out of context in many ways?
Well, first, just to kind of clarify what I consider to be the difference between those two words. So, like, when I think of self-love, I think of the entire being. So, like, loving the type of person that you are, the kind of friend you are, parent you are, being able to give yourself grace when you make a mistake, hold space for your emotions. Like, speaking kindly to yourself. I think of self-love as, like, that all-encompassing. Whereas, like, I feel body positivity to me is specifically like loving your physical body. So, accepting and appreciating all the unique parts of your body, whether that's, cellulites, belly rolls, you got a crooked tooth,
handles.
you got a wonky eye.
Yeah.
Like, it's like loving and embracing those things, even celebrating the differences. That's kind of the direction that I see body positivity. That's why, like, I really like the new representation in the media. So, like, now we're seeing models that might have a crooked tooth or a disability or cellulite. We see all sizes, all races. And I think with that, the body positivity helps us see that there's a lot of different ways to be beautiful. It's not just our typical standard of beauty, the size 0-2 and skinny, previous Victoria's Secret angels, I think we know. But in taken out of context, this is where it gets a little sticky. And Eric, I know you have thoughts on this.
let's do
This
it.
is where I'm
Let's do
this
it.
is where I'm gonna pull Eric in, because we have this debate a lot. Where I feel like it could be taken out of context is potentially not making changes for your health, and continuing to go down a path by just saying like, oh, well, I love myself, treat yourself, whatever, and going down an unhealthy path by just saying that, I'm happy, but maybe not truly being happy or maybe not truly like uncovering deeper
Well,
issues.
we talked about this in our pre-episode meeting, if you will, and I have a buddy who played basketball in college, super fit, but he wasn't happy being that way. So he just went to town, just pounding those little mini bags of Lay's potato chips. And now he's got he's bigger than what he was, but he's extremely happy. I wouldn't say he's healthy, and I'm doing a little finger quote, because I know he pounds potato chips like it's his job, but he's extremely happy and he's great to be around. He's a fun guy. I know Dana.
Yeah,
you
it's like
said-
it's opposite, but so I had questions for Eric to say, overall, like we are in the wellness, the fitness industry. So for me, it's like, I even question, is he happy? One, is it even my right to ask if he's happy? But that's up to him, right? But overall, I feel like what Amy said in that self-love, body positivity can be taken out of context as more excuses and a cover-up for deeper issues that are internal. And overall, like, we do not condone behaviors that are going to be ultimately unhealthy to you as a whole, whether that's internal, whether that's body, whether that's nutrition, things like that. And a lot of times, individuals that they may have gained weight, and they used to be someone that was like either fit at one time, or let's be honest, we've all been smaller versions of ourselves at some point. That doesn't necessarily make you happy, one. And a lot of times, like those individuals may portray a sense of outward happiness where the world sees them as happy. But at the end of the day, none of us know internally what anyone is feeling towards themselves. That's more of a self-awareness thing. And I think that's a lot what self-love is becoming self-aware of like who you are.
And it's being honest with yourself, but also something that I really believe, like I'm actually pretty passionate about this, is I believe there's never a point where hating yourself is beneficial. It's never beneficial to your goals. You can be at a point where you recognize things about your current life situation that aren't serving you anymore, and you can want to work to change them. You can have weight loss goals. I believe you can actively be working towards those. Like, wanting to lose weight doesn't mean you don't love, your current body. But you don't have to be self-conscious. You don't have to hate yourself where you're at in order to continue to work where you want to go.
I think it's like negative self-talk is like one of the most harmful things you can actually do, because like, think about, let's flip the script, right? Yeah. Let's say you have a 5-year-old kid. They are so impressionable at that age, and you consistently tell them negative things about themselves. Eventually, when they're like 7 and they've heard that for 2 years, just 2 years, how do you think they are going to view themselves? That is the same internally with yourself. Right. The more you say that over and over and over, the more you believe it. When it's like, even when a person returns to the gym and they're like, I can't do that. Yes, you can.
Even in the future, I've been in this position myself when somebody else tells you, like, I love the way you look great. And I'm like, don't lie to me. Yeah. But they're being serious. But it's yourself.
It from their eyes.
Right. It's yourself.
We're so much
telling
harder
yourself.
on ourselves.
Number one critics. But also, like, you can be your number one cheerleader too. I heard a podcast one time. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and it was like it's not a podcast, it's more of a motivational thing. And the writer wrote a letter to himself in the moment. And it was really cool. It was weird, but it was cool. And
like,
it was
to his future self?
Yeah,
like,
it was literally to like his past self almost.
Okay.
And it was talking about, he said, I know I'm usually your number one critic, but right now I need you to be my number one cheerleader. And that's usually what we're not for ourselves.
I like that.
Right? Like, we're not usually that. And I think when we can tap into that mentally, it's when we start to self-reflect. It's when we start to analyze situations around us or our behavior. It's when we start to have reflectiveness as an individual to say, even if it's like how you act towards your coworkers or how you act towards your spouse or your kids, can we be like reflective and say, ooh.
Do you think, and Amy, you may be able to answer this, do you think it helps people say they want to start to make that change now? If they start journaling stuff, keeping track of their stats, if it's fitness and weight related, and then in the future they can look back on it and be like, oh, wow, I really did make the change, because mentally they may not be there in the future, but they can see the hard data and say, okay, I lied to myself. I really did improve in these areas.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm never going to fault journaling. I think it leads us straight into a great segue, Eric, is like my next question is, we always want to put some actions in there. Yep. What can we give our audience? Like, what type of actions are required of us as human beings to provide like ourselves with self-love? What's some steps people can take?
So the first thing that, very passionate about this,
Go, girl, go on.
to take a look at your diet. And I don't mean what you eat. I don't mean are you eating vegetables. I mean literally all of the things that you consume in a day. What goes into your body, into your mind? What kind of people do you fill your life with? Who are you surrounded by? What are their attitudes? What are you watching on TV? What kind of shows? What's the message in those shows that you're constantly seeing? What are the kind of pages that you're following on social media?
That's a big one.
I got something to say about that in just a second. What kind of words do you hear? What kind of things do you tell yourself? So just everything that is coming at you in a day, take a look at that, because that's kind of what's shaping you and what's filling you. For example, social media. So in college, I used to follow all of these pages of these skinny little girls in their little tight shorts doing squats in the gym, and they're all cute, and they're not trainers. They don't know anything about fitness.
Yeah.
They just, wear skimpy stuff in the gym. And I was like, oh, it's so inspirational. I'm gonna, Fitspiration, and that's what my feed was. And my feed was just scroll after scroll of these probably very edited, very filtered, squeezed, pinched, whatever pictures of these beautiful girls in the gym. And then I was like, why do I hate myself? why do I look in the mirror and just pick myself apart and and not, what the heck? And I didn't realize that was the cause of it. That was a big thing. I'm
you,
not even
yeah.
joking. My whole page was
So,
this.
everything
when
was
did you
that.
realize that was the cause of it?
And that's when
after you
ads
stopped?
weren't in there either. Your
Yeah.
whole feed is now ads.
Yeah.
You don't even see your friends. But that was when when you were following pages
Yeah.
in that era, it was everything that you followed. You saw that
And I
day
thought
after day.
I thought it was good for me. I thought the more, I'm going to manifest this. The
Yeah.
more that I see these skinny girls, it's just going to make me skinny. It's
Yeah.
going to make me become this. If
I'm
I
gonna
just
work
keep
this way
putting
to get that way.
Yeah, and it just didn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I just I kind of found not a dark place, but I just didn't love myself. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start unfollowing some of these pages. So I went through, unfollowed, blocked, whatever, just cleared out my feed. And I started following, kind of cheesy, but, it's a big transformation time in my life. College, you're figuring stuff out. This might have been the summer after I graduated.
Which is even bigger transformation because you're done with this, everyone's together for 4 years.
Right.
It's not really the real world. And then the real world is when you go out and right after college, right after undergrad, I would say, or if you went right into graduate school, right after that's one of the biggest times of realization and oh God, this is life.
It's very
Yeah.
isolating.
So but I had created this little bubble of perfection on my Instagram, and that was all that I saw. And there was a quote, love this quote. It's comparison is the thief of joy. I love
Amen.
that. That was actually my next point is not comparing yourself. But anyway, because I would look at these pictures and I would compare all of myself, what I look like first thing in the morning when I roll out of bed, my hair is all this way and this
we
way.
know.
I'm comparing all of myself, all of my body, all of my bad days to this perfect curated one moment in time picture that someone wants to put on the internet. And I was like, I didn't like that. So anyway, clear out my feed. Now I mostly follow a lot of inspirational pages. So I get inspirational quotes every day. I follow a lot of therapy pages, quotes on relationships and childhood trauma, all this very
Just life
interesting
stuff,
thing,
yeah.
very life stuff. And I follow a lot of quote unquote influencers that show real pictures, they'll be sitting with normal rolls
Yeah.
or they're just very honest, and it's no more of that what I eat in a day, and it's a smoothie and a salad and then a slice of orange. I follow real people now, and to clean that out was so helpful.
I think it goes back to just in life, whether it's in the social aspect of social media or in your real life, is you have to find your tribe and you have to find
Yes, 100%.
where people are at currently in their world, and it oftentimes helps if you can mingle with individuals that are in similar stages of life to you, because you're going to be able to have conversations and feedback and understanding from people that are just at similar moments in time as you. And that's really what I've found. And Amy, you talked about this, and it's one of our next topics is like it's actually okay to outgrow people as well.
Yeah.
And like that doesn't mean that, you know, either relationships or friendships weren't valid and weren't significant, but you can also outgrow those individuals from just a self-awareness aspect and just you just outgrow them.
Yeah.
That they're in two different journeys now.
Right.
And it's not necessarily bad. But you know, and we talked about this kind of when we were talking about this podcast. But it was like, you know, your personality or your whatever is the combination of the top 5 people you hang out with. And we were talking about this too, because I'm in like this big point in life where I'm making a bunch of new friends and whatever, and I'm getting to know them, and I'm trying to find people that are in similar situations in life and have similar goals and drive, and surround myself with those people. And I still do have friends from high school and friends from college, and I have some party friends and whatever. But it's, you know, keeping your circle with people with the same goals and drives, and you can still have those other friends. You can still hang out with those other friends, but like, have some awareness, you know, of what path they're going on.
Let me ask you a question with this. This is the debating side coming out. It's not too difficult, but so you say keep people that are on the same level. Should you reach up and hang out or try to get in the circle of people that are at the point of their life where you want to be?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Or just keep at the same level?
Yeah, no, that's the outgrowing thing.
Right.
You want to reach for those people with that same drive and surround yourself with people that inspire you and push you to be better and whatever. You know, you don't, you know, high school Chad and Jessica that never left the hometown still go to the same bars. Like, maybe you're not there anymore. Maybe you want to start a business
Maybe
now.
you are there. That's fine.
You know,
Just hang
and
out
you
with
can hang
them,
out with Chad and Jessica, you know, once every few quarters or whatever. You know, whatever. You don't have to totally cut them out, but just be aware of who is in your inner circle too.
It's always like just continuously try to level up, and like when I say that, I don't mean financially. If you are a person that has goals financially, heck yes. But it doesn't just have to be like that. Is not the end all be all of success. If you find someone that you feel like is just morally where you would like to be as an individual, hang out with them. Like that's gonna rub off.
Yeah, for sure.
I also just want to say, like, especially, you know, I'm in my friend making time, you know, where I'm like branching out now. People want to be friends.
All adults want to be friends.
Like, I'm talking to everyone. Like, everyone wants to hang out. Like, everyone's shy
Everybody's
and
in
afraid
that
to
same
like
boat, the
make
isolation
that
boat.
conversation. Like, we all have the same fears in making new friends and connections and whatever. So like, just push yourself out and do it, and you'll be like, people are so receptive to it. Like, that's what I've found. That's made me really happy.
And Amy's done a really good job of this. I got to give her some kudos because that's not easy. And it goes along with the point here is like, find what makes you happy and go after it. That's like one of the tips here. And Amy and I have had a lot of discussion is like making adult friends in your adult life that haven't like come along with you either from high school or undergrad or your master's or a job, like just making adult friends, not through your kids, okay? But making your own adult friends, that is very difficult.
My wife and I talked about that, and we're like, we don't have many friends here, but it's hard for us to find people that are on the same level or above us that we can be friends with. And it's like, man, where do we do that?
How do we do that?
Yeah, how do we do
like
that?
What Amy is saying is like, it's always so hard for people, but like everyone, it's so funny because like everyone out there walking on the street, like they want to make new friends too. Like everyone wants to make new friends. And like, it's so hard for adults where like, if you're a kid on the playground, you're just like, tap somebody on the shoulder like, hey, do you want to be friends? And like, we don't do that as adults. And it's just like, but we all want to be friends. And I think that is a form of self-love is like relationship building.
And surrounding yourself with positivity, positive people, noticing like what kind of attitudes the people you surround yourself with have.
Yes. One topic I want to touch on before we move on like ways to tap into like self-love and self-care. I know you're big on the 80-20 rule, so I want to like touch on that. But what about like limiting beliefs that people have or put on themselves? Like these just like these preconceived limitations that people place on themselves that really distract themselves from fully becoming who they could be?
Yep. It's limiting beliefs. Yes, it's things that people place on themselves, but it could even go, and I don't want to get too therapy on you guys, but it could go back to childhood, things that your parents have said or things that they've done. Maybe no one in your family ever worked out, or, and so you're like, oh, that's just not me. That's just not my, that's not us.
So what's an example of a limiting belief?
I'm not a morning person.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person. I'm not driven. I'm not disciplined. I can't eat healthy.
I hate vegetables. Well, no one just loves
one
them.
loves
Pizza is better than
Yeah.
vegetables, but they are going to make you feel good. I think what happens, when people get into fitness, and this is kind of going off topic, but when they get into fitness, they don't realize how good it makes them feel.
Yeah.
And then people get quote unquote addicted to fitness, and their friends are like, "You've changed."
Do you think they correlate
what?
muscle soreness with that feeling of, wow, this hurts, I don't want to do this,
I think some do.
until they work through it, but they don't go long enough
But
to
they
even
don't
get
go long enough to
Yeah.
surpass the beginning dread of soreness.
Yeah.
You are starting something new that is physical. If you went out and shoveled your driveway of snow and you've never done it before and you did it 3 days that week, you are going to be sore.
Yeah.
It's like a physical exertion,
Yeah.
right? But once you get past that, you're going to realize the energy, everything. So that becomes a form of there are lifestyle changes
Yeah.
because they feel
But
better.
It's everything. It's not just exercise too. People can say I'm not a driven person. I'm not a proactive person. I'm lazy. Maybe they've heard that from their family. They've heard, and they've internalized that. I'm just
not
a
an
lazy
achiever.
Yeah, I'm just a lazy person. So me as a lazy person, I'm
Yeah.
not even going to try to do anything because that's me as a person. You internalize that. But you know what? If you or I'm not a runner. Let's use this example.
Oh, that's a big one.
You know what? If you get up off the couch and you go for a run, you're a runner. That's
You don't have to run 6 miles to be a
You don't
runner.
You're
have
not
to run
Usain
6
Bolt.
miles.
I mean, you're not.
Yeah.
you don't have to run a 6-minute mile. You don't have to run. You can run just down to the end of your stop sign, and you're a runner. You can walk and run. You can whatever.
That's why
you don't
everything
have
in
to tie
life
yourself
is that
into
Right.
something.
mindset. It's
Yeah.
the convincing of I've said it before, you all know I'm big into performance, but in my current role I have to do some data stuff. I'm not a data person. Trust me, I do not say that to myself anymore. Because I've sought help.
Yeah.
I still don't love it, and I am still learning. But it's something that I found myself saying that. I'm I don't. This isn't going to
Yeah.
be my crutch. I'm not going to do that. I want some help, so I sought out some experts on our team, and was will you work with me individually? Here's the reporting I need to do each month. How can I best set myself up to be successful? I am a person that has to know exactly how to do it because I'm not familiar, so I have to write out everything. But now we're in fourth or fifth go around of it, and I can start to just do it. And it's well, look at me,
Yeah.
data person.
And I will say with limiting beliefs too, because they are, these can be very deep seated from you were saying, the 5-year-old kid that here, their mom, talks to herself badly in the mirror. They see that, they internalize that. So I'm not saying it's necessarily as easy as just well, snap out of it, go for a run, get up, go work
For
out.
sure.
It is very hard, and it is a process. I'm also a huge advocate of therapy. Get out there,
Amen.
talk to someone. There's no stigma with it anymore. I feel
Everybody's my therapist said.
Yeah.
Heck
Old
yeah,
people,
own
it's
it.
oh, they're in therapy. It's not like
Yeah,
that
what's
anymore.
wrong?
Literally, pretty much everyone I know is in therapy. You don't have to have some existential problems or be super depressed. You
No.
just go talk to someone. Get out your thoughts. Someone can help you talk through it. Ask questions that might spark new thoughts.
Well, you look at the work styles nowadays. People are at home.
They don't have
They're
anybody
not
to talk
around
to.
anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't have anyone. And
It's so isolating.
yes, and
we need to talk.
there used to be this such negative connotation around therapy, and now it's I swear, if y'all go in your friend group and
Yeah.
it's my therapist said,
Yeah.
I promise at
They're
least
well, mine
3 of your
said.
friends are well, my therapist
Yeah.
said. And it's you don't have to have significant issues.
Yeah, just
It's
go
literally clearing your brain
Yeah.
to people that have qualified educational,
Yep.
professional training that can work through that with you.
Yeah,
And
it's
help you
not
break
just
patterns
going
of
to your,
thinking.
your BFF and complaining about everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're gonna be yeah, girl, yeah,
Right.
mm-hmm,
You go, girl.
yeah.
So let's talk about we talked about some action items, but let's and we're starting to get there about like, how do I tap into this? Like, what are some ways to tap into like either self-love, self-care, that can be beneficial in our life?
Well, the starting point is to be honest with yourself. And I think it's also like sitting down, thinking, maybe even writing down what your goals really are and figuring out what you want in life, whether that's, again, your body, your finances, whatever, determining those goals and then coming up with a path to get there and being honest with yourself with what's realistic on that path. Again, weight loss, it's probably not very realistic for you to eat chicken, broccoli, rice, but find the balance. To be moving just any steps in that direction. I think that's the first step.
I had I want to end today with like, what are your thoughts on like self-affirmations? Mm-hmm. And do you have any?
Yeah.
And like, I have a story like in undergraduate, I forgot the exact term, but I think it was one of these like a superstar athlete. She was just incredible. And her dad, like there was 3 of them, and her dad, I forget the exact phrase, but like every single morning since they were little bitty, since like 3 years old that they could talk, every morning, and they did this into adulthood. Mm-hmm. They would look in the mirror when they were brushing their teeth, and they would say, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can, 3 times every single day. Nice. And I don't remember if it's like that exact one. You could tell mentally, like, just, yes, she could.
Yeah. They're probably solid anything. As a rock.
Like, it is solid. Like, it doesn't matter, like, yes, I can. And it was such a powerful tool when she relayed all that to us, because we were like, we kind of laughed and made fun of it, but like now later on we're like, oh yeah.
So let me ask you something real quick. And it goes back to these self-affirmations. I've recently had a daughter, and I've gotten so much more done since having her. And I tell myself, like, if I can't do it for me, do it for her. Mm-hmm. Is that a positive self-affirmation? It's not positive for me, but it still motivates me to get things done or to reach my goals.
Yeah, as long as that motivates you. That seems like a
I think love, too, is like one of the most powerful motivators, whether it's like relational love or like father, daughter, mother, daughter, like any type of like true bond.
Yeah.
And like being a parent, that is like one scenario where you truly love someone more than yourself. Yeah, so like that is going to be an instinct driver. Yeah. So like it's beneficial to you. So shine on.
Yeah.
Right on. I'll do that.
I do. I like that. I want to get this is a little off topic, and then I'm going to bring it in and tell you where I have my affirmations and what some of them are. But I just wanted to get this one more thing in because it's really important with self-love, body positivity, all that stuff. Again, just back to the comparison. You need to keep this all on you. It's not a competition with anyone else. It never is. So, because you are beautiful, because someone else is beautiful, that does not subtract from your beauty. You can be different types of beautiful. I love this quote here. And it was specifically talking about social media and what it's designed, but also just comparison in general. It is designed to make you think, maybe I should be somewhere else, doing something else with someone else. But then if you always think your happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. So I think that's important. Ooh. I know.
That hit a little deep.
Yeah, it will never be where you are.
What if someone's like in Greece, like just floating around? Can I wish I was there though?
You can wish,
then I can manifest.
You don't know what kind of debt that person got into to go to Greece. You don't know. You don't know backstories. So don't even bother comparing.
That. But if think you about go to Greece, me going to Greece.
Get yourself to Greece. Amen. Get yourself to Greece. Yes. So back to affirmations. I do on my mirror I bought these stickers just online. It just says, "You look good." And I put that on my mirror. That. So nice. I see that. So even if I don't necessarily read it or say it, I'd still I'm subconsciously seeing that every day. And that's made me feel more positive. I mean, just a dumb sticker, not dumb, it's not dumb. A sticker on my mirror.
It's purposeful.
Makes me feel better. I also have one at the end of so it's on the wall at the end of my bed, and it says, "You look absolutely stunning today." So I see that one too. And then I just keep little quotes randomly around. Some affirmations, I just pull these online, but I really like them. things that you can tell yourself. You can start every morning. You can say them before you go to bed at night so that they sink in as you're sleeping, like we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
All your
Yeah,
thoughts are going.
cognitive.
Yes. I am successful. I am confident. I am powerful. I am strong. I am getting better every day. All I need is within me right now. I wake up motivated. I'm an unstoppable force of nature.
I like that one.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
I
read.
like that
I'm
one.
not gonna
Good
read
a lot.
all of these. You can look some up, or you can find which ones like you need to hear the most where you are in your journey right now. But that's really important. How you talk to yourself. I say if nothing else, start there. Just
Yeah.
start with how you talk to yourself, and keep it on you. Remove the comparisons.
If you guys find this episode on whatever platform you listen to, I'll drop some of these affirmations on there.
I think there's like 50 of them.
There's a
They're
lot.
good. They're good. They're good
I
ones.
have a thing on my house that says like, always believe that today is the day or something like that, where it's like you don't know, like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
like, and
No,
it's just one of those
100%.
things where
Today's the only day like it that
Yeah.
it's ever going to be.
For
so
sure.
Make it the best.
Oh.
And I love those affirmations. Thank you, Eric, for sharing those. Amy loved this. Could talk
This was a
all
fun one.
day
Oh, yeah.
about it. It is definitely a passion topic for all of us, and you delivered it just mic drop after mic drop. So, guys, self-love, finding the sweet spot. For me, it's been my favorite episode yet. And we will catch you guys back here in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And can't wait to have you listen again. See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.